By skillful direction you will carry on your fight. A war requires skill, not simply good intentions. Certainly, if you're sad, you don't want to make things worse for yourself. For example, a study of depressed adults discovered that some sought to deal by taking their anger out on other people, decreasing stress by drinking more, eating more, and using more tranquilizing medicines. As a result, there is increased sadness and somatic discomfort. Some sad people avoid seeking professional help because they are afraid of being labeled as mentally ill. However, serious depression is not an indication of mental or spiritual weakness. According to research, this serious condition may arise when there is a chemical abnormality in the brain. A medical evaluation may be recommended if you have been significantly depressed for more than 2 weeks due to a physical illness. If no physical ailment is determined to be contributing to the condition, the disorder may typically be treated by modifying the thinking pattern in conjunction with some assistance from suitable medicine or nutrition. Winning the battle against depression does not guarantee that you will never be depressed again, Erica. Sadness is a natural part of existence. However, correctly directing your punches will help you deal with despair more effectively. Antidepressants are often prescribed by doctors. These are medications that are intended to correct the chemical imbalance. Erica, as previously noted, utilized them, and her mood began to improve within weeks. However, I had to build a good mentality in order to function alongside the medications, she explained. With the medicine's push, I was determined to get better. I also kept up with a daily exercise routine. However, antidepressants are not always effective. Some people may experience unpleasant side effects. Even if the chemical problem is addressed, depression may reoccur until one's thinking is adjusted. However, much respite may be obtained by being prepared to allow yourself to feel. Emily despised her one-sided burden of family obligations, as well as the rigors of a secular career. But I just pushed my sentiments within, Emily stated. Then, one night when I was feeling hopeless, I called my younger sister, and for the first time in my life, I began to express my thoughts. This was a watershed moment because that phone call offered so much comfort. So, if you're feeling down, find an empathic individual to confide in. This person might be a spouse, close friend, family, preacher, doctor, or skilled counselor. According to a research published in the Journal of Marriage and the Family, having a support helper available with whom to discuss the hardships of life is vital in overcoming depression. Putting your thoughts into words is a therapeutic process that avoids your mind from denying the truth of the problem or loss and, as a result, leaving it unsolved. However, express your true feelings. Don't let a false feeling of pride, trying to look unfazed by misfortune, hold you back. A man's anxious anxiety is what causes him to bend down, but the good word is what makes him joy. However, only by speaking up will others begin to grasp your nervousness. However, only through opening yourself will others be able to grasp your anxious care and so provide that good word of encouragement. I contacted my sister expecting compassion, but I got a lot more, Emily remembered. She assisted me in seeing where my thinking was incorrect. She told me I was placing too much pressure on myself. Though I didn't want to hear it at first, I could feel a big burden being lifted as I began to adopt her advice. Oil and incense are what make the heart happy, as well as the sweetness of one's partner owing to the wisdom of the soul, says a Jewish poet. There is a sweetness in having a friend or companion who speaks candidly and assists you in putting things into correct perspective. This may allow you to concentrate on only one difficulty at a time. Instead of feeling defensive, appreciate such skillful leadership. You may require the assistance of someone who, after numerous meetings, can provide some short-term goals that will highlight activities you may take to improve or adapt your situation in order to decrease or remove the source of the emotional pressure. Fighting depression frequently necessitates dealing with emotions of poor self-esteem. How can these be effectively resisted? Defying low self-esteem. Maria got melancholy as a result of family problems. I am a terrible person who can't do anything properly, she concluded. This was incorrect. If she had simply studied her results, she might have argued, I do some things properly and other things poorly, just like other people. I made a few of blunders, and I need to work on being more thoughtful, but let's not overreact. Such argument would have preserved her self-esteem. So frequently, that critical inner voice that criticizes us is incorrect. The accompanying box lists some typical mistaken notions that create despair. Recognize such incorrect beliefs and mentally test their veracity. Jean, a 37-year-old single parent, was another sufferer of poor self-esteem. I was struggling to raise 2 boys. However, when I watched other single parents marry, I felt to myself, something must be wrong with me, she stated. By focusing solely on the negatives, things snowballed, and I ended myself in the hospital for depression. After leaving the hospital, I should never feel wounded. I should always be cheerful and tranquil. I should be the perfect parent. I was a perfectionist, so whenever I had that thought, I'd pray to God to help me stop. I discovered that negative thinking leads to poor self-esteem because all you perceive is the bad in your life rather than the good that God has given you. I overcame my despair by forcing myself to reject certain wrong notions. Do any of your ideas need to be questioned or rejected? Is it all my fault? Despite his depression, Alexander managed to teach a school lesson. He got suicidal when several of his students failed a crucial reading test. He thought he had failed. Esther, his wife, said. I assured him that it was not his fault. You can have complete success. Nonetheless, his tremendous remorse forced him to commit suicide. Exaggerated guilt is frequently generated by accepting unwarranted responsibility for the actions of others. Even in the case of a child, a parent might have a substantial effect on but not complete control over his life. If anything does not go as planned, consider the following. Were there any unforeseeable events that were beyond my control? Did I accomplish everything I could within the constraints of my physical, mental, and emotional resources? Were my expectations simply unrealistic? Is it necessary for me to learn to be more reasonable and modest? But what if you make a significant error and it's your fault? Will beating yourself up psychologically fix the mistake? Isn't God willing to forgive you, even in a big manner, if you truly repent? Should you subject yourself to a lifetime of mental anguish over such sin if God would not forever keep finding fault? It is not perpetual melancholy that pleases God, but taking proactive actions to correct the mistake that will relieve your despair. Leave things behind. Some of our emotional issues may have their origins in the past, particularly if we were victims of unjust treatment. Be ready to forgive and forget. It's not simple to forget, you may be thinking. True, but it's preferable than ruining the rest of your life by obsessing on what can't be undone. I am pursuing down toward the goal for the prize, said the Apostle Paul, forgetting the things behind and reaching forward to the things ahead. Paul did not concentrate on the bad path he had taken in Judaism, even accepting of murder. No, he focused his efforts on winning the future prize of eternal life. Maria also learned to let go of the past. She used to blame her mother for the way she was raised. Maria was a perfectionist who was jealous of her lovely sister since her mother emphasized excellence and physical attractiveness. The underlying envy was the source of the disputes, but I blamed my actions on my family. Then I realized, really, what difference does it matter whose fault it was? Maybe I have some negative characteristics as a result of how my mother raised me. But the idea is to do something about it. Don't keep acting like that. This revelation aided Marie in making the necessary mental modifications to win her battle with depression. Your true worth. All things considered, successfully combating depression necessitates a balanced sense of one's own value. I would say to every one of you, the Apostle Paul said, not to overestimate yourself above your true value, but to make a sober evaluation of yourself. False pride, ignoring our limitations, and perfectionism are all manifestations of an overestimation of oneself. These inclinations must be overcome. However, avoid going overboard. 5 sparrows sell for 2 coins of tiny value, do they not? Jesus Christ emphasized the particular worth of each of his disciples. But not one of them is forgotten in the eyes of God, but even the hairs on your head are counted. Do not be afraid, you are more valuable than many sparrows. God values us so much that he notices even the smallest detail about us. He knows things about us that we don't because he genuinely cares about each of us. 1 Peter 5 verses 7. Recognizing God's personal involvement in her aided Emily in improving her self-esteem. I had always felt admiration for the Creator, but suddenly I realized how much He cared about me as a person. Regardless of what my children did, what my spouse did, or how my parents raised me, I recognized I had a personal bond with God. Then my self-esteem really started to rise. Because God values His workers, our worth does not depend on the favor of another person. Of course, rejection is painful. However, when we use another's praise or disapproval as a yardstick to evaluate our own value, we expose ourselves to despair. On one occasion, King David, a man after God's own heart, was referred to as a good-for-nothing guy, literally, a man of worthlessness. Nonetheless, David saw that the name-caller had a problem, and he did not interpret the statement as a definitive verdict on his own value. Shimei later apologized, as people frequently do. Even if someone rightfully criticizes you, remember that it is intended at a specific action you took, not your worth as a person. Emily's own study of the Bible and Bible-based material assisted her in laying the groundwork for a relationship with God. However, my transformed attitude toward prayer was the most beneficial, Emily remarked. I used to believe that we should only pray to God about major issues and not worry Him with little issues. I feel like I can talk to Him about anything now. When I'm concerned about making a choice, I ask Him to assist me in being calm and rational. I become closer as I witness Him answering my prayers and assisting me in getting through each day and each tough scenario. Indeed, knowing that God cares about you, knows your limits, and will give you the courage to face each day is crucial in the fight against depression. Nonetheless, no matter what you do, the despair persists. Hour-by-hour endurance. I've tried everything, laments Emily, a 47-year-old mother who has battled significant depression for years. I've learned to change my incorrect thinking, which has helped me become a more rational person. However, the depression persists. The fact that you are still depressed does not imply that you are not battling it effectively. Doctors may not have all of the answers to the disorder's treatment. In certain cases, depression is a side effect of medications used to treat a serious condition. As a result, the use of such drugs is a trade-off for the benefit they may provide in treating another medical ailment. Of course, talking about your thoughts with someone who understands might help. However, no other person can truly comprehend the intensity of your anguish. God, on the other hand, is aware and will assist. God has given me the strength to keep trying, Emily confessed. He didn't let me give up, and He gave me hope. You will not be overwhelmed and give up with God's guidance, emotional support from others, and your own efforts. You may adjust to sadness over time, just as you would to any chronic condition. Endurance is difficult, but it is doable. We didn't even take it day by day. Jean, whose severe depression continued, added, it was more on an hourly basis. The hope given in the Bible kept both Emily and Jean going. Thank you for watching this video. Please stay tuned for more videos like this. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. It might be a great help to someone out there. Remember, sharing is caring. Thank you.